Paul, my man.
How's it going, Dean?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, buddy. How are you feeling after the adventure that we're going to? I want to delve into today.
The roller coaster ride. I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel light, ready to just share the experience with the world.
Before we get into that, man, I want to talk to you about your big adventure coming to Bali.
Yeah.
So here we are landing in Bali. I wish everyone could see what was out behind here, but it's a bit bright. Beautiful. But yeah, sitting in the rice fields at the moment, it's very, very fortunate to be here. But how did you land here in Bali, mate, with your beautiful partner?
Yeah,
Mandy?
So my partner Mandolin and I, a year ago, almost to the day, we decided to pack up all our stuff in America. We were living in Arizona, sold everything we had, and we moved to Belize. And we lived in Belize is in Central America, a little island, or a little country right below Mexico. It's the southeast part of Mexico, or right below Mexico, and we lived on a little island called Kikaker of 2,000 people for 4 months, and we volunteered for 4 months at a local elementary school, and I was working with a special needs kid and being the PE coach and just giving back. Mandy and I, everywhere we go, we love to give back, and on top of that, we were working on our business. We have an online coaching and mentorship business at the time, and so for the 4 months we were there, it was, I never thought I could get island fever, but I truly got island fever there.
Because it's a small, 2,000 people. That's not like Bali.
No.
There's a few million people.
Yeah, like here, I don't even feel like I'm on an island, but I was literally on a desolate island. There was no cars. It's kind of like a Gili Mina.
Like a bigger Gili, little island off Bali.
Exactly.
Very quiet.
And so like every day it was like Groundhog's Day. I'd run into the same people asking for Coke, asking me if I wanted a coconut. It was just like, seeing the same faces. It was just, it was interesting. But, and then after Belize, we ended up moving to Guatemala, and we lived in Guatemala for a couple months, and that was spectacular. It was huge change for us. So like we fell in love with Guatemala because they have gyms. Like there was no gym on the island that we lived on in Kikaker. So I was like, they have gyms. They have, movie theaters. We were back in civilization. So it was wonderful. And like the weather was perfect. They call it eternal spring in Guatemala. So like for 2 months we were in this eternal spring. And I call it Guatopia, like instead of Utopia. Yeah, it was just a beautiful place. The people are super friendly. The weather was great. There's flowers galore, fruits and vegetables. You can eat really healthy in Guatemala. But after 2 months, we decided to go back to the States, unpack our luggage. We had the same clothes for, 8 months. We were over it. So we got to see, my girlfriend's got 2 grown daughters that are in college, got to see them on their break. And, my girlfriend, she's been having a calling to go to Bali for quite some time now. And it was we just pulled the trigger and decided to move out here permanently without even ever visiting Bali. Just the feeling that we've gotten from friends experiencing it, and just knowing that big vision, doing retreats and events out here, because it's just a mecca for people that want to personally dive into their life, heal themselves inside out. And we've been out here for 2 months. Loving it. It's
a perfect location for what you guys are doing.
Yes.
And what your ambitions are. Yeah, I can see, especially Ubud. Coming to Bali is one thing, but coming to Ubud, anyone who knows about Ubud, the word alone means medicine. And there's something magical about this place, and it is a mecca. But I can't believe you committed to the place without even coming to check it out. You guys must be confident.
Well, it's funny.
We were coming back and forward and testing the waters. You guys just went, bang, we're in.
The way we are is like, there's only a plan A. If you have a plan B, then usually it's like, all right, then you can dabble in between. It's like, no, we had one plan, we're going in, and there's no sinking. We're going to figure a way to swim through. But originally we got to Bali, we're like, we're going to go to Canggu, because like I'm a huge ocean guy. I want to be near the water. Like we love, snorkeling and surfing and all that stuff. But when we got to Canggu, the first 2 days, we're like, what is this place?
What the hell?
Yeah, we're like, this is not Like it was totally like
it's another beast down there.
Yeah, it was a mini California. Just all the Australians coming in drinking. It was just not the culture we were thinking we'd be a part of. But luckily, day 3 we got plugged into a booth, met some amazing human beings like yourself, Dean, and it's just Bali open heart hugged us, and it was just a phenomenal experience so far, and we're excited to really plant roots here, and we're excited. The community is strong. The energy here is beautiful. The locals are just phenomenal, and you can really eat healthy. Like you said, Buddha's the medicine. So
then we were chatting the other week. We'd only known each other for about 3 weeks, and I feel like we've known each other for 3 years now.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it, man. I feel blessed, meeting you too. And then you threw an idea out to go to Vipassana, which is Dharma Vipassana, which is a silent meditation retreat, which is something I've always wanted to do. My wife knows I've always wanted to do it, and she's gone back to Australia for a month to visit friends and family. But my two little angels are on school holiday, and I had this rare window, and then you've come in and said, "Hey, in July, let's roll. In late June, let's do this thing." And it was that 10-day period was smack in the middle of my month where I was here. I wouldn't say free. I'm working here, but the ability to move out and not feel guilty about being away from my wife and the kids, it just lined up perfectly.
Well, I credit you for really pushing through, because I was like dabbling, like the last year or so I've been wanting to do a Vipassana, and they have Dharma locations all over the world, but the one in California, I just never pulled the trigger on it. When I was living in Arizona, I was like, I'm going to go to California and do it, but there's always like a wait list, and it just so happens the location out here in Indonesia, the men's is always open. So it was just, you were like, these are the dates, and I'm like, I had to like do an early visa run to commit to it. I was like, you know what?
It wasn't easy, yeah.
No, like I had to fly out to Singapore like a couple days before, and then come back to Bali, and we flew out together. And it was just, I'm thankful that, I had you on the experience with me, because if I would have done it on my own, I probably would have kept on pushing it off a couple months. And it was just nice to have that accountability. And then shout out to Daniel as well, my other buddy that came with us. It was the 3 of us. We rolled up in there. Honestly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
I didn't either.
All I read was like the requirements, and we'll dive in that. But man, what an experience!
Yeah, I'm glad. I know exactly why they don't tell you too much about it. What we're gonna go into detail about what it was like, the experience, because everyone should experience this. Rich people, poor people. It's free. It's donation only. That's remarkable to be able to have an experience like this.
Yeah.
And you don't have a huge bill for it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So what was your understanding walking in? So this is 10 days of silent meditation. So what was your understanding before you went in of what it was?
So
like the requirements, the rules, or what you were going to participate in?
So all I knew was donation only, that we're going to be sitting, meditating for 10 to 12 hours a day. You're only going to eat 2 meals a day. There's no meat, which for me, 10 days without meat, that's unheard of, And then the guys and the girls and the men and the women are separated, so that you can't. There's no interaction between the men and women.
A very good idea. I could see that when I was there. It's very important.
There's no eye contact. There's no gestures. I can't even say, "Hey, good job," and throw you a thumbs up. There's no physical contact. You have to wear shirts that cover your shoulders and your knees. And for me, I'm a tank top, flip flops guy.
Yeah, so am I. Footy shorts.
And I was just like, I was so uncomfortable wearing like pants all the time.
Yeah, a sarong down to our ankles or something like that, or your pants.
Exactly. And then what else was there? There was
no writing, no reading, no music, no singing, no humming. So I walk around in my spare time. That's all I do that all day. I just I'm always like drumming with my mouth. And that was hard for me not to walk around and do that. The no talking thing, was difficult. But just those little things you do in your spare time. I hop in the shower and can't go do in the shower. And I kept checking myself. You can't make a noise. You can't look at anyone. I was just looking at people's feet, but. We broke the rules a little bit.
Yeah, we were a little rule breaking. Well,
don't tell.
Yeah, don't tell our loved ones. But like, what one of the reasons why I even did the Vipassana is because like my whole life I've been the most extroverted. Like if you ask anyone, I'm the most extroverted person you'll ever meet. Like I can't go a second without filling the void of silence. Like I do not like silence. I don't like in conversations. I'll make sure to keep on asking questions. I'll interrogate you because I don't want that awkward pause in between a conversation, and because I don't know what's going to happen there. And my whole life, wow. I was born into that chaos of always constant stimulus. You know, so for me, it was like boom. Vipassana was like everything I love to do. Switch off.
True.
And sit still, which another thing I don't like to do is sit still, you know? And so it was, wow.
It was challenging.
And
I walked out, and people were asking me what it was like. And first thing I said, it was the most challenging and extraordinary thing I've ever done in my life. Mm. But before I go into the results and what you experienced in there, which was profound for both of us, we've shared a little bit of it since we've come out. I want you to describe what the day is like for someone who's never done it before. Yeah. What's the day like, which is replicated 10 days over.
Oh man, talk about Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it is. So what is it from morning?
So morning 5 or 4 a.m. There's 10 gongs that wake you up, just dong dong, like long dong, like
long dongs.
Long dongs. Shout out hashtag long dongs, and so long gongs, and so at 4 a.m. that's your wake up call. At 4:30, well actually at 4:20, they're ringing around a little bell to make sure you get up and you're not sleeping in.
In case you've missed your
in case you missed the long dongs, and then at 4:30 you have to be in the meditation hall, seated and ready to go for a 2-hour meditation.
So this is a hall that is about 20 meters by 20 meters. There's 100 people in it, men on one side. I think there was about 45 men on one side, and 45 women on the other side, and then the old students and the teacher up the front. Mm-hmm. So that's a big room, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I was just setting that space. We walk into this beautiful big room with 100 yoga mats, not yoga mats, little cushions on the floor.
Meditation cushions.
3 inches thick.
Yeah.
So we walk in there and
so, well, obviously
where do we go from there?
The first day, it's like, for me, flexibility, not the high. So you want to go through the whole day, okay?
Yeah,
we'll
describe.
Break from
break
4:30
it down
to 6:30, we have a 2-hour meditation, complete silence. You know, you try not to fall asleep the first couple of days, you know, and then we go to breakfast from 6:30 to 7:30/8. It's a vegetarian breakfast, pretty bare bones, you know.
We're vegan for 10 days.
Yeah, vegan for 10 days. Like I kind of lived on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which I was loving it.
What do you call them in the States?
PB&J.
PB&J, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you call it in Australia. So.
We don't eat that in Australia.
You guys don't even eat? Well, you don't eat PB&Js or
or
waffles.
We have jelly. That's what you're squishing 2 inches of PB&J together. And I couldn't say anything, but I was looking at it sideways because we were sitting next together, looking at it sideways going, what the
Really? That's fascinating.
I've never seen anyone do that.
Interesting. Well,
only on movies.
I put peanut butter on everything. I'll do like peanut butter and ham sandwiches.
Oh man.
Peanut butter on my waffles and pancakes. Like
really?
I'm a huge peanut butter guy. And like in Asia, you don't really there's not a lot of peanut butter out
It's
here.
really expensive.
Yeah,
peanut butter here is so expensive.
Oh yeah, a little thing of Jiffy peanut butter is like $10. I'm like, nah.
So we have our 100 about 80 people again in a hall with curtains down the middle. Yes. The women on one side again, and you can just hear them clinking about, but not even thinking about them because we're in our own world, in our own psyche.
And then we're all facing the wall.
The other way.
Yeah.
It was like sitting at breakfast, looking around, just thinking military, thinking like we're shoulder to shoulder, facing a wall, not speaking. Like prison. I was thinking about prison while I was in there because the stainless steel trays where we'd go and scoop up our food and sit down with a tray. It was, I was thinking so much about what it would be like being in prison. I mean, but we were there for this beautiful experience. Imagine being around that many men in such close quarters, with actually being locked away in there, with all the issues that come with being incarcerated. Yeah. I can't fathom. No. I've seen a million movies and documentaries on prison. Yeah. But just this little insight of being so close to men and having so many rules. Well, I know it's nothing like it, but it's the opposite end of the spectrum. But it blew my mind just thinking these poor, not poor buggers, but how traumatic that would be, how difficult that would be to maintain your sanity and make any progress.
Well, and I think that's the thing that I definitely, in the back of my head, I was like, it's only 10 days. Like, at least we had a countdown.
We had that, yeah. Imagine knowing, okay, this is 5 years.
What if you're like, well, not even if you're on trial and you're still waiting to see what your verdict is and you're still in jail, not even knowing that.
What a ride, man.
So with that, yeah, like the day 0 when we first got there and I see the place, I'm like, honestly, like, and then we had to give our phones away, our jewelry. We couldn't wear our mullet beads.
Because I'm covered in the stuff. And
yeah,
everything gone. I had no watch, no ring. No amulets. A little coin that I have that my father's got the same one.
Yeah,
I was going to keep it, but I wanted to honor the rules, so I put it in my locker. Yeah.
So you literally like stripping down all your worldly possessions and wearing, a sarong.
Well, basically monks for 10 days.
Yeah.
It's an ancient Buddhist teaching from meditation technique from around 2,600 years ago. So we were essentially monks for 10 days.
And I think by like day 4, I was like, like I really wanted it. Like if someone had clippers, I was like, I might as well just shave my head and like really get into it. I think next time. Yeah. But so after breakfast, then we have, if there is a time, if you want to talk to the guru/teacher, you can ask him a question about your meditation. Like if you're
whisper him a question.
Yeah, it was like super like,
hey, I'm not feeling very well. Things aren't going very good. I've got all this crazy shit going around in my head. And the teacher would say, that's okay. That's no problem.
That's really, yeah.
It's no problem. Just stay focused, stay with the technique. I'll walk out. Okay. Keep pushing along. I saw him 2 or 3 times. He said, bring it back, keep focusing. Okay. And that's all you can do. That's all you get. You're there without... Yeah. Well, I want to tell you and hear your experience as well, delve into the psyche. But yeah, I still want to run through this program of the day.
Yeah. So then after breakfast, then we have... another meditation. We have like 3 hours of meditation before lunch, and then we have lunch for an hour, and that's the last meal of the day. And then we literally meditate throughout the afternoon and have a discourse at the end where we watch Essen Goenka's disclosure that's recorded because he's passed away. It's beautiful. They have all his transcripts recorded and audio files, so we're able to hear his chants and his discourses for the 10 days, and they do a phenomenal job with that.
Which was essentially the informational, because through the days, we're in there just hardcore 10 hours with very little instruction. There's no one talking to us, telling us what to think and really what to do. Just focus here. There's a very short description of start again, focus here, move throughout the body, done. And then you're alone for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. So I saw the nighttime as his way of translating that technique into the emotional and the physical world, because it was just science of mind and matter. There was no, as I said, it's non-secular. There was no dogma. We didn't worship anyone or anything. No deities, no gods, which really impressed me. Sitting in there, knowing, okay, I'm not. They're not teaching me to chant and bow and praise a deity. It was pure science. And that's biology and psychology. It was,
and that's what I love is like, we get so caught up in visualizing, Jesus and gods and other deities, and like understanding, like at the end of the day, it's like the power within. Once we dive into the power within and tap into,
that's what it was all about.
It was a beautiful thing, I think.
Which was much of what his philosophy was about at night when he was describing the technique.
Yeah,
was precisely about that, and he didn't. Discredit any other belief system, but he was emphasizing the power, the God that and that vibration that everyone wants to attain in life is actually here. It's something I've been saying for years. My wife would have heard me say it 10 years ago. That's why I was so excited to participate in this. I used to say to her, imagine all that energy that people give out. Please, 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 and it's to a big rock or a wall or a book or whatever it is that they're worshipping or their God. Imagine if you put that much energy into yourself. Yeah. Imagine if that much praise and focus went into yourself, and that is precisely what Vipassana is. Yeah. It's all there within us, and boom.
I mean, I get chills just thinking about like the power. Like once we start taking the power back from the religions that we're, a part of, or a society or a family, and understanding the power within is the most powerful, pure energy that we have. It's a phenomenal place. So like flipping everything on its head during this Vipassana was huge for me personally, because my whole life I've always just like, boom, just giving away all my energy, my power, and not truly reaching into my higher self to get in the depths and sit in that. So
it was profound for me as well. I briefly discussed before that something happens. We're 30 hours. I was 30 hours in, and just in absolute pain, physical pain, emotional pain. I was frustrated because I wanted to progress. Naturally, I wanted to. Okay, we did that today. Next day, we've got to do something different. Let's go higher. Let's do more. Which is what we do in everyday life, which I think is the plight of mankind and Western culture. Essentially, is everyone wants more. Let's go next level. And that's what's putting the world in the state that it's in now. No one's content with what they have. So it was very well done, where we had a particular intention for the day, course of action to take, that focus. And the next day, expecting something different, something better, something more, it stayed the same. And then they mentioned something else tomorrow. Next day, pretty much stayed the same again. Yeah. So they started to break down this desire. And the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao, I Ching, they all talk about not living life with desire. Freeing yourself from desire is number one, which I strongly support. And I've been working towards through that for a few years. I went in there and sat down and realized I'm still on that train hardcore. And that was one of the things I noticed first off is having the ability to, let go, lose desire. It was very well done among a million things that they craftily introduced there. Yeah,
I think totally same thing. It's like, all right, boom. I come from a very military athletic background. It's like, all right, on to the next one. It's like, all right, we got this win. Let's get to the next win. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just the way to just sitting with that for the first 3 days by far was the most difficult 3 days of my life. Sitting in the pain, like, is this going to get better? And no, like, it was just like a consistent pain level, and just focusing on your breath. I was just like, and the boredom that comes with that. Like, my head's going a million miles an hour. And then not seeing results, in quotes, like, it was by far the most frustrating.
Very frustrating.
And I think that's where we actually did break the rules a little bit, because like I was like in such a place of just like depression, and like just like I'm not like getting what I thought, going in like, oh, like I'm gonna have this big, being attached to the outcome of things. But like Dean and I both had like a little powwow, because we just had to say like, hey, how's it going? Just to, yeah. And I'm really fortunate, like this time, like, because it was my first Vipassana. Like, I don't know if I could have truly made it in one piece without having, two buddies with me. Because like it was just, I created like a team atmosphere in my head. Like, all right, we're all in this together.
True, which was a great support.
Yeah,
I felt that too going in. Even a few of the guys we met just before we walked in, that was another thing that was hard, because we had that first afternoon where we were all together, we were all excited, full of anticipation. And a few of us guys gravitated towards each other, remember? And we were sitting on the grass.
Yeah.
And just bang, 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 all getting to know each other from all over the world, just connecting and joining forces. Yeah. And then an hour later, no more talking.
Yeah.
So we just got to know these people, intrigued to know more. Then we spent 10 days shoulder to shoulder with them without the ability to connect anymore.
You can't look at them, nothing. There's no one's smiling. So like I'm depressed because no one's got a happy face on. Usually I'm like, I always got a smile on my face, making sure everyone's having a good time. And it's just like, And it's just like, it was by far what you said, like the most challenging, but the most rewarding at the same time. It was just what a beautiful roller coaster ride it was.
It was.
But day 4, I definitely want to talk to you about day 4 as well, because day 4 is when I had my first real breakthrough from those 3 days of just like consistently in pain, just focusing on my breath right here and my nose. And then day 4, well, another big thing was that I didn't have a backrest the first 3 days. So like usually you have to sit in meditation pose, no backrest. So for an hour straight, you're not supposed to move. And me not being in this position long, my hips, my knees were in so much pain that I always had to adjust myself every like 10, 15 minutes. And then finally I was able to get a backrest and I was able to sit in my first full 60-minute silence, no moving, eyes closed. I've never done this in my life.
First time
ever. So like for people that have never meditated, or people that barely meditated, like don't be discouraged. Like you have 10 days, over 100 hours of meditation. You're gonna sharpen your tools at this Vipassana. And so by day 4, I finally reached it. I hit this outer body experience in the afternoon, and I felt like I was levitating 5 feet out of my body for the majority of the 60-minute sit. And when I came back to, I looked at the ground. I was 3 inches off the ground. I was like, oh, like this is crazy. And but the hardest part was having that experience, but not being able to share it with anyone. So like I'm like just freaking out inside me. I'm just like, this amazing experience. And the first thing I love to do, Mandy can contest to this, is I love to share it right away. I just love to like, I don't even like to receive things. I get it and then I throw it right back because I want other people to experience things with me. So what the Vipassana really helped me to do is really digest the experience fully without sharing everything. And then I'm able to really understand what happened, And so, there was someone that came up and I had to like tell, I like shared a little bit, but like at the end of the day, like I'm still processing this experience and it's been beautiful. And I'm excited that we have this opportunity to share as well. But you had a amazing experience as well on day 4, right?
Day 3, I touched on something I would consider profound for me. And I've meditated on and off over the years for 10 years. So I'm okay with sitting for an hour and meditating. But day 3, something opened up for me and I got to a really nice level, but it was day 4 where I first experienced that full body, physical euphoria, emotional euphoria, and I just couldn't believe what I had experienced. I walked outside and spoke to Dean, the coordinator, and I said to him, I cannot believe what I just experienced. And I was thinking, how am I going to describe this to people? And I was there in that sensation, thinking it's like a drug, and that discredits it. It's nothing like a drug. It is absolutely nothing like a drug. Full body awareness, yet a complete detachment from the physical body as well, just feeling it like a vibration. I didn't know. And then I had this for 3 hours again on the 8th, and I had it for a couple of hours on the 9th as well. And in between that, I just had hellish days where I had these experiences on the 4th where at the time it was like my consciousness was separated from my body. My body was just a vibration. It was like I could feel it and not feel it at the same time. I didn't know where my hands and my legs and everything were. I felt like they were all just jumbled up on a pile on the floor, and I could just do whatever I wanted with my mind. I was playing with it. I was talking to myself. It was like I had 5 layers of consciousness, and one of them was thinking about my kids and my wife. One of them was just enjoying the physical euphoria of what was happening. The other one was trying to cut down my ego and say, don't love this, don't want this, because it will go away, and that's not what this is about. So I kept reminding myself that good feeling, whatever was happening in my body, dopamine probably going bang, 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 is not why I was there. And that's why when I described the experience to the teacher, he wasn't excited or impressed. He didn't want me to be excited about that, because all that would teach me is move out into the real world and do what I used to do, which was, hey, I want to feel good. Yeah. Grab a beer. I'm trying to have sex or masturbate or just do and just satisfy the senses, which is I'm learning, like I described before, is something that I've been wanting to deal with over the years, is not initially just move to something that's going to make me feel a certain way. That was number 1 for me in there, of that container that opened. And if I can describe it in detail, I didn't realize when I walked in there, I felt like an addict. I practically walked in a healthy young man, sat down. 3 days in, I started to hit the panic button, like, I'm an addict. Because of that reason, because I had sensory deprivation sitting in there, and I had no go-to. So I'm in physical and emotional pain, and And I didn't have, normally I would have something in the outside world to quell that and give me that feel good hit: food, chocolate, sex, alcohol,
movies, whatever.
Yeah, movies.
Dancing.
Yeah, but there's no detachment and there's nothing to provide that feel good. So what my brain did for me, playing its old pattern, was give me the only drug that was available to me for those first 4 or 5 days, and it was thinking about sex. I didn't have anything else, so my brain was just giving me sex. I just kept thinking about sex with my partner.
Yeah.
And I couldn't shake it. And I spoke to the teacher about it and said, this is nuts. But I knew I've learned enough about psychology, neurology, addiction, and all these things to understand precisely what was happening in my brain. It was looking for a feel-good sensation because there was nothing else there. And that was my biggest, one of my biggest achievements in there. I had a few, was overcoming that. And that quelled on about day 5.
Okay.
Which was extremely difficult. Yeah. So it's given me a whole new awareness on how I operate with my emotions and how I operate with hardship. And since I've come out, I've been on a completely new level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
In so many ways.
I was just say, like, my escape was peanut butter jelly sandwiches in the morning. I was like, all right, tomorrow morning, the only thing I looked like, there was there was little things I could look forward to. And one was PB&J sandwiches, and then like taking a nap midday. I was like, fuck, I can't wait for my midday nap, because I was just like trying to escape. But then what happens is those midday naps, you get the craziest lucid dreams. And I'm like, one night I had like, what is that when your body's stiff?
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep paralysis. I've never had this before. I've known people that have done this before, but I literally felt like I was taken over. Like my body, like I could not move. My eyes are open. I'm like, ah. And so like now I was like, no, I don't even want to sleep, because there's like all these things going on at night. But
which is probably making you more exhausted.
Yeah, but to go off of you, like hit that huge high day 4. But of course, what happened day 5? Whoosh. Grounded back into my body. The worst pain of my life. The next sit, I'm like looking forward to it. I'm like, all right, day 4, I had this amazing experience.
Now,
I was like, I'm the master. I'm the master. I did too. And then whap, Mr. Miyagi comes by and slaps me in the face, and my whole body just, the most pain I've never put my body in this much pain in my life. Even playing sports my whole life, like pushing through. I was like, oh, I got this. I've been trained by Marines and Green Berets in college playing football. No, like this is by far the most pain I've put myself in. And I voluntarily did this. That's the craziest thing. But man, just to push through that pain was the most, like by the end of the 60 minutes, like the sense of like accomplishing something and like truly making your mind a servant to your soul. I think that's a huge thing we understand. It's like we give this so much power, but understanding like this is not us. Our soul, we're a spiritual being living a human existence. And so like just consistently putting in my mind, I am not my body. I am not my body. Like this pain, it'll go away.
And that's the idea is, like I was talking about with the discourse in the evening.
Yeah.
Because when we're sitting there in all this pain, and they're saying, just observe the pain as a sensation. And after 4 or 5 days, I was sitting at the back of the room. Everyone went still. And they said, oh, the pain will go away. And I've had spinal surgery, went through horrific chronic pain for 3 years after that surgery and that injury. And I learnt in there a new way to look at pain and feel pain, because I should have been getting progressively worse. Yeah. If I just sat here for 10 days, I would have got worse and worse and worse and worse, more pain throughout the week progressively, and I would have ended up in really big trouble. But with that technique, we were taught to observe pain as just a sensation. So whether it's cold or heat or pain or pressure, it's just a sensation. And I'm like, okay, well, that'll sort my physical body out. For me, that was relevant to me. And I stopped feeling pain. My back actually felt really, really good. There were days where it felt like all the areas in my body that normally had caused me pain and still cause me a very low level of pain. I've beaten all that through doing things like this. I overcome chronic pain. But I should have been getting worse. And there were days when it was actually like it was tickling. So that was really exciting for me, still not getting attached to it. But then what the intention was for the instructors and the technique was to learn, this is what I took away from it, was to teach the mind that any emotional pain that comes in is also just a sensation. So not being attached to feel good and the big euphoric dopamine hits and endorphins and all that stuff that we chase every day, not being attached to that, equanimity, not being attached to that, and also not being attached or recognizing emotional pain as well. It's just a sensation. It's impermanence is what they were describing it as. Nothing's permanent. It will go. So I walked out of there not feeling like I used to feel. I've had stories that I've been holding on to for years that have been causing me such angst and pain, absolute torment, that I just had total conviction of. This is what's happening. This is why it's happening. And I've walked out of there and they're gone. And just like the physical pain that was coming to my body from my back injury that left, I feel this technique taught me to do the same thing with emotional pain, and completely detached from any of these old stories that were hardwired in my brain. These neural pathways are broken. And that's the beautiful thing about meditation, is you can create these new synapses I feel the resistance. Have you ever meditated? Or you get up in the morning and tell yourself, like, today I'm not going to think about that, it's going to be a good day. And you find this new platform to operate from. Like, yep, this is my new structure. Yeah. That's a great initiative, but you haven't done the work to sustain that new structure. So you've got these old connections, old pathways that are the strong ones, and then you've come up with these new ones to tell your brain, hey, we're going to do this now. And your brain goes, no. We've been doing this for years, which is what I was doing with my stories and this emotional torment. No, we've been doing this for years. Don't go and try and do something new. This is the easy way. Water follows the easiest path, like electricity. And that's what these synapses are doing. They're firing electrical currents. So that resistance in there, I'm keen to hear if you've experienced that as well, from the old brain, the old way, resisting the new foundation.
Of course, I think a big thing is doing affirmations in the morning. It's like, we could say all these things, and we have our 3 affirmations we say in the morning and at night. But if you're not truly embodying, this path, and you're not really putting in the work, in. I think that was a huge thing with the Vipassana. It's like, we get so caught up in the book or the movie The Secret. It's like, oh, if you wish it in, it'll come. You'll get that check in the mail. No, that's bullshit. Yeah, it's like you have to take action, and consistent action, and really check in with yourself, and align yourself with obviously your higher self. So like for me, it's like this Vipassana, the 10 days is great, but it's just the beginning. It's like, for me, I know the only way that I'm going to really etch that new creek in my life is by putting in the work and devoting myself to getting still and to being present with myself, and then being in a place of observing. So like this quote, observation without evaluation is the highest form of human intellect. And so like with that was what we're doing for 10 days. We were observing our body, but we're not clinging on to the positive sensations, or we weren't like diminishing the negative.
Pushing away the negative.
Yeah. So it's like we're just sitting with it. And I think as human beings, we get so caught up in completely like just reacting. And for me personally, my whole life has been reaction. I'm just such a innate, from sports to school, it's always reacting to the situation. It's like, oh, if I get a good grade or a bad grade, oh, if I do well in this sport or not. It's always like, like you're always getting these feelings because everything was conditionally built in my life. Like everything's had conditions on it. So like for me, it's like showing myself unconditional love, compassion, kindness through these 10 days is what got me through.
Tell me about that machine. I mean, talk about being hardwired, and having a machine built that this is essentially. I want to know why you went into Vipassana, but I want to know what you built to this stage, because you've touched on your youth, So, and your wild ride. Yeah. It's a tough nut to crack.
It's what a story. So I was born pretty much with the American football in my hand for your Aussies, American football with the helmets and the
gridiron.
Yeah.
Gridiron. Do you call it gridiron?
Okay. No, we don't call it gridiron.
Why do we call it gridiron?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone's got the thing. Football is soccer in one place. Football is, it's American football, gridiron football. And my dad was a professional athlete. He played gridiron American football until he was 38. And so when I was born with a football in my hand. I literally was born in this world where I was being chiseled out of stone to be this all-American, pro athlete, academic scholar. And for people that aren't from America, like an all-American boy is just the Renaissance man. You're excelling on and off the field and academics and your extracurricular activities and sports, and you're just a well-rounded individual that gets along with everyone. So my brother and I both were just on this path of just like, boom, we played, I played 5 sports growing up at one time: football, basketball, track, hockey, and soccer. I was an Eagle Scout. I did Boy Scouts my whole upbringing. I was in choir. I was like the one choir boy that was the jock of the group. And then I did a bunch of philanthropy, volunteer work. And then I was a 4.2 GP, like a straight A student. So like academically, I was top of the class on top of that. So like there was no such thing as failing in my life. And so with that upbringing, it's like boom, boom, boom. Like I literally achieved, you talk about achievements, I was always achieving at that highest rate. I got a full ride scholarship to play collegiate American football as $250,000 at Rice University in Houston. And getting there, that's when the wheels started falling off, because not only did I go from like playing 5 sports and being, inundated with so much stimulus, but then when I got to college, it was just football. And you talk about like, just like the Vipassana, just meditation. And for my whole life, I was juggling everything and being good at everything. And now I had to transition into doing one thing. And that's where I see like things seeped in, because my mind started going all different places. And so through partying, through, hooking up with girls, through just completely, living this life of chaos, that was how I was able to cope with me just playing this barbaric sport for,
I see.
I was breaking people's bones and getting a full ride scholarship doing that. And I played in front of 100,000 people, and me hitting someone hard and 100,000 people going, oh, at the same time, that's a huge adrenaline rush. That no drug can give you that. And so the transition from that, and then I played professionally in Japan, but transitioning out of being an American football gladiator, gridiron guy, to the real world, to me being in a cubicle selling solar panels, 120 calls a day. How do you transition? And so the last 3 years that I stopped playing football and transitioning led me up to this Vipassana, because it is extremely difficult for me to contain this energy, this rage. If I get pissed off at something, I'll just lash out, like not physically, but just like verbally be abusive. Like I'll be, I'll manipulate conversations to get my way. I'm really controlling, because in football, like there was just like this, I was in this box and I was able to control my situations. But like in the real world, outside of that, like just, I didn't know there was no stability in my life. And I credit my girlfriend Mandolin for really being that beautiful mirror, because 4 years ago I met Mandy, but before her I was literally just so lost. I was the most unfaithful boyfriend to my previous partner, abusing drugs, partying all the time, and just seeking for validation and being the hype man and always being the party guy, because I just didn't know how to settle myself down and quiet myself.
So you were creating your own hype.
Yes.
Which is, I've seen some of the videos of what you used to do, having people partying on top of the mountain. Yeah. And is it you were on stage hitting those massive highs, and then you fell from, it was a fall from grace.
Yeah.
And then you've created your own hype and entertainment and buzz all around you full time. You've been doing that for a few years.
Yeah, and so it's funny, because a thing that really just was a light bulb was during the Vipassana. I got really triggered by the schedule that we were on, because it was like 4 a.m. start all the way till 9 p.m. Like your schedule's already booked. And that triggered me to college, to high school. Like I was on a schedule in football. Like we had the same thing. It's like you eat when we tell you to eat. You look the way you're supposed to look. You have to be clean shaved, all this stuff. And then like on media too, like you have to, like I had to play a role. I was a method actor. Like that's my whole life. I've been a method actor where I'm like literally Heath Ledger playing the Joker, and then Robin Williams playing the clown. And then it's just for me to truly like dive into like who I am was for me to be in this Vipassana and sit with all these emotions and understanding that this is not me. I was playing these characters to get what I wanted, in quotes, or to achieve the goals I wanted, And so if I had to be the teacher's pet, if I had to be the jock, if I had to, be the homecoming king and everyone liked me, I fit those roles.
It's just results, chasing results and feel good.
Always. It didn't matter what I truly wanted.
Or what you did on the way either.
Yeah, no.
Or who was in your way.
Oh yeah, like if I had a sheet to, get an A on a test, like I had to do what I had to do. Like there was no consciousness with that. There's no awareness. And so like meeting Mandy 4 years ago, that's where the awareness started seeping in. And I was able to, now it's harder and harder for me to do those things. I'm like, no, I don't feel good. Like it doesn't make sense. It's not in alignment with where I'm going. So it's a lot easier for me to get out of that and into this new space. And, so with that, the Vipassana, like me being triggered by the scheduling, I come back and I talk to Mandy after the Vipassana. I'm like, I was so triggered by the schedule. And she's like, Paul, don't you realize you already do that to yourself? You inundate our schedule every day with events and lunches and all this stuff. You already pack your schedule every day. You're doing the same thing. You just don't even know it. I'm like,
still trying to keep that exciting wheel turning.
Exactly. I'm still trying to keep that boom, boom, boom. If I don't have this schedule, if I don't have this structure, then who am I?
So Paul, you've been talking about this hyperactive, huge lifestyle that you created after your fall from grace, which is what we call it, after coming out of football and being the all-American superstar. Like what you've told me is just mind-blowing. Well, that's a film. There's so much more. We could talk about it for a couple of hours, what you experienced through your youth that led you up to that star shining lifestyle. But what was that fall from grace? Can you describe it for me?
Yeah, so 17 years of my life, I was dedicated to playing the sport. And of course, the peak goal objective was playing the NFL, the National Football League in the States, make millions of dollars, sign a contract. And so my whole life was prepping me for this opportunity. And come my senior year in college, had a phenomenal year, helped lead my team to our first conference championship in 56 years. And we played in a huge championship game at the Liberty Bowl against Mississippi State. And afterwards, I literally for 2.5 months, poured a bunch of money into training and getting ready for this NFL combine, where it's pretty much a showcase to show your talents to these NFL scouts. And so you can get drafted or sign a contract. And ended up on my pro day where I do my whole, run and pony show, horse and pony show how good I am. Just did not do well. I was like overweight. I wasn't cut the way I was supposed to, did not run well. And I just totally mentally did not prepare myself properly.
Were you overconfident going in because you were the superstar college?
No, the problem was I was trying to be something more than what I was. And I was trying to over impress and gain more weight to look bigger. But at the end of the day, I was hurting myself by putting on more weight. I slowed myself down. I wasn't mentally fully in it. Because at the end of the day, playing in the NFL wasn't my dream. If you think about it. No, if you think about it.
Sounds like it was.
And so that's the thing is when I was born with a football in my hand, my destiny was already etched, the path was already etched.
This was someone else's dream.
Yeah, of course. And so I'll get to that in a second. So the falling from grace was when I did, after the pro day, I did get a call from the Denver Broncos, which is my dream team. That's where I always wanted to play. So I grew up like everything's coming to true. Like everything in my life happened the way I wanted it to. Like I get the chills from feeling that. And then the Denver Broncos called us like, hey, come to our camp. You know, we'll give you a tryout. And then 2 days before I'm going to fly out to Denver, they pull it. They pull the offer, or they pull because someone else got injured, and it's just a meat market. If someone gets injured in a different position, they're going to take my spot, put their other guy in. And so, boom, you talk about just this roller coaster, boom. Never in my life have I ever experienced so much pain, hurt, depression. And it was in that low point. Obviously I was abusing alcohol and pills and just partying my ass off, so just try to mask it. Yeah. Like I imploded. I was like, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the pain of failure because I never truly failed. Like this is the falling from grace. It was just like a huge cliff I jumped off of. And in that, that was honestly the biggest down point in my life. But with that, fast forward a couple years, my parents encouraged me to keep on going after it. And I ended up getting an opportunity to finally check off the box that I was a professional athlete, and I played in Japan for a season. But within that season, that was a huge another falling from grace because I finally accomplished what I set out to accomplish, was being a professional athlete, getting paid to play football, getting the notoriety. I was in another country and on magazines and posters and living that life. But it was just like there was an empty pit. Like it just like, it was nothing was truly like, it wasn't making me happy. And then I got to the realization that football was not my dream at the end of the day.
Whose was it?
It was my parents. Like my parents instilled in me that this was the key, to follow in my dad's footsteps or to follow my brother. My brother played collegiately at Stanford. Like we both had full ride scholarships. Unfortunately, he shattered his ankle, could never play again. But the blessing and curse for me was like, I never got injured to the point where I could miss a game. I never missed a game in my life of playing. So I kept on bashing my brain in, hurting myself, breaking people's bones, but God never pulled the game away from me. Like tragically other people get back injuries, shoulder injuries, they can never play. So like literally I was in this game, this rat wheel of playing football. And I honestly thought I was going to play football until I was 38, like my dad. Like that's the mindset I had. But I was fortunate enough that my girlfriend truly was that mirror and like really helped me realize, Paul, are you actually happy doing this? Like chasing this money and hurting people and hurting yourself and bashing your brain in? I was like, you know what? No, this is not worth it. This is not like, this is not my goal in life, is to be this barbarian and to literally, I felt like I was Russell Crowe from Gladiator. Are you not entertained? In front of a arena, him killing people, me breaking people's femurs and shoulders. No, and it took me till I was 26 to finally realize that this is not the path for me. And I finally retired from the sport. And so the last 3 years has been a huge unveiling of, who I am, spiritually, as a human being, and what my purpose and true passion is in life. And, I wanted to ask you as well, I know you've had a fallen grace in your own, and I would love to chat with you.
I have. That was, I got a few more questions for you as well. I wanted to see, I want to ask you what you found in that container in Vipassana. You went in there with an objective to analyze all this.
Yeah.
So
going into the Vipassana, huge things that went into it. One is, in my relationships and my current relationship as well, it's like I'm always giving myself to everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. I'm always creating that. Yeah, the energy. Like I'm always reaching outside of me and harnessing other people's energies, like as a leech, whatever you want to call it, and using other people's energy to create my own instead of going within. So what happens in my relationship is that I'm always the rah guy getting everyone amped up. And then by the end of the day, I'm depleted. I have no energy for my girlfriend. I have no energy for our relationship, and it is just so butt backwards.
And she recognizes.
Oh, and that's
that your cup is empty.
Yeah.
When you get home at the end of the day, is that?
Yeah, no, there's like the energy's depleted. It's really put a strain on our relationship. And so like going into the Vipassana, I was like, all right, I'm done reaching out before reaching up into my higher self, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, I'm doing things, flip-flop my focus, I call it. And so that was a huge testament for me. Another one was, you know, sitting in silence has been a huge struggle for me, and filling the void. I would always, when I'm doing homework, have music on, have TV on, juggling 3-4 things at a time. It's like, no, I want to eat when I eat. I want to walk when I walk, and I want to simplify my life. And talk about simplifying life. Yeah. Jeez, Vipassana. You really bare bones.
There's not much left, eh?
No, that's it. And so, and then just like, you know, a lot of people were just like, you know what? They're like, Paul, I don't think you can handle it. I'm like, honestly, I didn't know if I could handle it either. But going in, I was just that strong determination, which is funny. That's what they called our 60-minute meditation sits. It's like that strong determination. It's like, you know, I'm determined to heal myself inside out. I'm done reaching out for things, looking for the next guru or healer. It's like, no, I understand that the power is within, and that the medicine is within me. And I want to go into the depths and scuba dive down there and find that. And I was fortunate to get some amazing treasure down on that journey.
What you found in there.
Yeah. And
wasn't it a dive? I mean, that container that just keeps opening and opening and opening. And I mean, I've done a bit of work over the years. I've been the recipient of work, you know, psychotherapists and healers and a lot of different people, and that's fantastic. It usually goes for an hour. You can see them once a week. I'm not discrediting that. Like that's a valuable resource to use. But what I take from that is you've got someone there assisting you through that journey when you go in. And what I found profound in this experience was having no one there, like a deep delve into the deepest parts of your psyche, of mine. I mean, memories were coming up I didn't even know I had. Yeah. And then I thought I sorted that out. Yeah, okay, I've sorted that out. That's great. And then the next day, another container. And there's no one there to help. There was no one there to help me. It was just this roller coaster of going through my whole life without the intention. That's the thing I've got to let people know. The intention isn't to sit there and sort out all your psychological woes and complications. That's not it. It's a meditation technique. But when you sit there for that long, that world opens up. There's no other way about it. They don't tell us to do that, did they? They didn't say, okay, well, go in your head, and when you come out, all the problems that you had when you were a kid with mummy and daddy or your wife or whatever, they're all going to be solved. No, they just come like a train, and there's no one there to help you. It's not a psychoanalysis. And it's not like
you can't write anything down.
No, there's no writing. And I write and read a lot. Yeah. And I actually... Don't tell Dean, the coordinator. I got a pen off one of the boys next door, broke all the rules, but I had to write, man. I had some heavy shit going on that I really need to get on paper. Yeah. And the thing was, the first few days I was going through some stuff, like we all were, like you were. And then I'm like, great, okay, I'll remember that. But then 30 hours on top of that, being crammed on top of that thing that you were thinking about yesterday, that's deep in the chasm. So I got to a stage where I couldn't handle that, and I was taking napkins out of the kitchen. I'm going to get started. He'll hate me for doing this. I got napkins out of the kitchen and a pen from the boy next door, and I was writing stuff down. Yeah. But a lot of it had to do with my relationships, my stories from the past, everything relating to my pain after my injury and my fall from grace, which was very traumatic for me. I similarly I know how you feel, brother, and I think we connected there.
I think that's the beauty of it. It's like we come from very similar, like gladiator mentalities, being in a military type of environment.
I grew up number one. I was number one at everything. I was that kid. I used to run from the 800-meter sprint. Yeah. First place, and I'd be run over to javelin, first place, shot put, first place.
And you're built, you're 6'7".
I had a six-pack when I was 4, and and that made me feel really good. Yeah. And growing up, we lived a very simple life, middle class, working class, and I knew that made my parents really, really happy. We just had a beautiful childhood, but we had some struggles there. You know, we didn't grow up wealthy. And I think I've realized that made me really happy, that it gave my parents so much joy that I'd score 5 tries every game of football I played. My coach used to pull me off and sit me on the bench so someone else could get a try. Yeah. And I was humble the whole way through that journey. I'd jump in the swimming pool, blue ribbons, just come home, yay, Mum and Dad. So I lived for that. It brought me so much joy and brought my family so much joy that I was number one. But that had repercussions. One, when I stopped being number one, that really hit me really hard. And now I find it hard to approach something where I'm not going to be original, or I know I'm not going to be the first at it. So that's caused a bit of an issue for me. When I had my big fall from grace, which was I was rowing in the Masters with a really strong club, Toowong, in Brisbane, and we're traveling around the country. These guys, ex-Olympians, you know, they go to Henley every year and win golds at the Masters at Henley, and I was rowing with these guys and did very well very quickly, and I've lost that community because I blew my back out in a boat. And I just went down a world of shit. I fell off the stage like you did, and that caused a lot of problems for me for quite a few years. So I went in there with the Vipassana as well. I was able to go into that story, and it wasn't something that was plaguing me until today. But the repercussions of that event, of having spinal surgery, 3 years of chronic pain. I learned a lot before I went into Vipassana how to deal with all that, but it was awesome to go in and really tick that off and check that out. But yeah, I know what it feels like, man, to come down really, really hard. I lost my whole community, and that's something else I was going to ask you about, is the men that I used to row with were beautiful, motivated, strong, amazing men. They were my community. I'd get up at 3:30, 4 days a week leading up to a comp, and we'd be in the water for 2 hours every morning. I'd get home at 7 a.m. and then go to work, just feeling like a king. These guys are intelligent. You know, a lot of them are very, very successful. They all went to the private schools, you know, when they were younger, around the GPS schools around where I lived, which is a big deal. But they were fantastic mentors, and I used to rely on them, and I lost them like that. I crawled out of the boat. The last time I rowed, I crawled out of the boat up the ramp, and then I was in ambulances, morphine, just a horrible ride, and went home. Yeah, I'll be doing a talk here on chronic pain in Ubud, because I've learned a lot about how it works in relation to the brain. And
that's huge. I was really proud of you for making it through the 10 days, and like your back wasn't an issue.
Yeah, I said, and it feels great now. The first few days was hell, and I was really thinking, man, this is going to be a problem. But that old pattern was firing between my brain and that point of injury, saying, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. So I was able to crack that. And 4 days in, I was laying in bed giggling because all those areas were tickling. Yeah. Wow. So then that just motivated me to go even further and deeper. So on a physical level, emotional level, wow, man, what a trip. No, but now I've come out, I'm finding myself, I'm on the same vibration as you. But I'm not on the same vibration as other people around me. I'm not on the same vibration as my wife. Yeah. And we really need to be at the moment. And we're not. So that's something I've got to be patient with. And the Dean, the coordinator there as well, he said, you've got to be patient. This is normal. You are on a vibration after that experience. Yeah,
I think, I had a conversation with my girlfriend.
You were saying the same with Mandy.
Last night, Mandy, she tells me, she's like, Paul, it doesn't seem like you're all the way here with me. I was like, you know what? I'm not. It's literally 10 days of like super deep dive into everything. Like my whole life was put on a projector screen, and I literally rewatched my whole life before my eyes and observed it. And coming back home, it's just like, well, the stimulus, like being back on the scooter out here, as you know, out here is just like, it's pretty chaotic at times. It's just like, I feel like I'm in between, I'm in this in between state. Yeah. And our energies and the vibrations are completely different right now. And like and what was beautiful, we had this conversation last night, and something that would usually trigger me, I just sat with it, and I just I held space, and that was a huge, another thing is like holding space for my partner, which is like something I don't even hold space for myself. So that was something going into the Vipassana that I was really focusing on, really diving into. And so last night it was this beautiful conversation. Usually it would end up in like an argument.
You would have retaliated, defended something.
Yeah. I was like, this is why I'm doing this.
I've been the same man since I came out. Something that would have sent me into a complete rage. I don't fight with it. It doesn't come into me. I understand. You can do anything to me right now. Say anything to me right now. Yeah. I say, man, I understand why you feel that way.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of that. It's very different, man. You've got to do it. Anyone who's listening, you have to go and do this.
Like I'm over. Like the whole what resist persists. Like I'm over resisting,
which is what I used to do.
Yeah. And I'm like putting everything on the table, and especially like first and foremost with my partner, just like having these conversations where I don't get triggered and I don't project my fear and anger onto her. Like it was just such a place of just like inner observance and then just releasing. It's a beautiful experience, and I definitely recommend this to anyone and everyone. That's on this path of,
that's the outcome that they're looking for. But what we have, if we want to sustain this, we have to keep practicing.
Yeah.
So no one can walk into Vipassana. It's not an open door, closed door, go home.
Yeah.
They teach you a technique to practice for life. So I've been doing 1 hour a day since we came out, and I do want to sustain it. But people need to be aware that it's not an adventure as such where you just go and do it and come out and have results. You will have results, but this is a lifelong practice, and they're teaching you a tool.
Oh, and I definitely want to bring home the point that don't be attached to the outcome, because and I know it's human nature too. Like, after the 10 days, I'm gonna be this. No, like really dive in, be present with yourself, and understand that even though Dean and I had these amazing experiences and ups and downs, like. It's the medicine, just like a Abood translates to medicine. Like it's not what you want, but what you need at this certain time. So your experience is going to be so different than every other person. And I talked to several people after the Vipassana, and some people are like, I didn't get what I wanted. I was like, well, the problem is like you already put in your mind that you're going to get this after 10 days. No, it's the consistent practice is what's going to breed the results.
And I think if you're ready for something to be open or come up or be resolved, it will happen in there.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then chances are it mightn't, and you just need to take the technique home with you. So I think it is important for people to know it's not a joyride.
Yeah. And to take it serious. Like I know there was times where I didn't, and it's just like understanding that those 10 days are for you. They're not for anyone else. They're for you. And, detaching from everything else that's going on in your life and truly focusing on the technique, because when I said the technique works, it works. And obviously there's thousands of people doing this around the world. And it's not by donation based for any reason. It's because it works, and people we donated
want to share it.
Yeah, we share it. Like we donated enough for like 5 people to come next time. Like that's how much we got from this. And I couldn't. No, I'm just honestly, I'm really excited and thankful that we can have this conversation because more and more people need to know about this.
Yeah, the more and more people do it, the more people we're going to have to resonate with on this level.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful thing. We share this. We don't need other people who have got it.
Yeah,
that's not how it works. And that's the whole idea, is to go back out into the world and share what we've got and what we've learned and how we're operating now, which is vastly different for me from when I went in there. Vastly different.
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
And your some of what we spoke about today, that journey, because I know you growing up with that all-American military-style family and moving into NFL and what you discussed and everything like that, or wanting to and not getting there. You're writing a book that's going to describe that at length, because I know there's a whole lot more to that story, man.
Yeah, I know. It's just a tidbit, but yeah, I'm writing a book, and the name of the book is From Gladiator to Guru, and it's the whole concept is, being that modern gladiator, the Russell Crowe, you're not entertained, to transitioning into guru, which translates to self-mastery. It doesn't mean that I'm, the next Tony Robbins. No, it just means I'm mastering myself, and my breath can be my guru. And so understanding the the process, and this book is for everyone from military backing to UFC fighter to that warrior archetype, cop, pro athlete, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. And the whole transition in that is truly like unveiling, like, oh, the thing that's defined me for so long, like me being a cop for 30 years or a firefighter.
That's the key.
And me being defined by that, and that tribe I was a part of, and that community, like you say, that's so difficult to get out of that community and embark on your own. And so like giving a process, a 10-step process, and what I did to overcome the different fears, obstacles, addictions, to you name it, like just seeking outside of me for the answers. When at the end of the day, it's like harnessing that inner energy is what's truly helped me. So it's a process, and I'm actually looking to co-write the book as well and have people like you, Dean, give your backstory.
My backstory.
And other warriors that have gone on this road, and give them a platform as well. Like I'm going to have 10 people, including me, write on this book from all different walks of life, so people can resonate from those different aspects. And because it's like not everyone's going to resonate with me fully, but hey, if I have 9 other warriors that have been on the different path and have different experiences,
there's plenty of us. Yeah, there's plenty.
We'll have all the medicine we need in that one book.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
Teach people some tools. Yeah, that's what I do in my retreats as well. Is I show men an array of tools over 7 days.
Yeah,
it's similar to what you're doing with your book. Is discuss the story, tell my story, and this is what I learned to get through that. This is what I learned to not substitute that with another addiction, and then jump from addiction to addiction to addiction. We need some more tools. Men and women need more tools.
And that's the great thing is like there's a lot of gurus, teachers, coaches that are like, oh, you have to go through me to get these results. No, like we're giving you guys the tools and the medicine to heal yourself. We're not healing you. You're healing yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, you need to find your own.
Giving their power back. Like you lost your keys, or you locked your keys in the car. We'll be the locksmith, help you unlock it. But you're driving in your car, and you're going on the road.
Yeah, that's similar in the men's circles that we attend here. Yeah. So I attend 2 a week. I see you on Friday. 30 men coming in and sitting down. I spoke to guys after the Vipassana, and they literally said, "What's a men's circle?" They had no idea. Dudes from Australia would have no idea. And I explained it to them, and they couldn't get their heads around it. I said, "Man, it's a way for men to go and sit in a place. There's no distractions from women, and we get to discuss something that we're working through, whether it's good or bad. And then the other guys, who I'm getting to, can talk back to you, can show you something that they did, because there's no advice. We can't give advice in the circles. We can just say, look, here's what I did when I experienced something similar to you. Because if I tell you go and do this." It's not your own idea. It won't be implemented as strong as if you found it yourself. So that's what you'll be doing with your book, and that's what I do with my retreats here.
I just love the alignment. Like we've really it's just we're joking in the taxi on the way back from the Vipassana, just like how everything was just like boom. Once we met, it just like took off, and I'm just so excited to collaborate with you more often out here. It's like there's not enough men on this path. And for us to encourage more men to step up, be bold and be seen and be heard. This is what I'm really passionate about, and do it on a global scale. You got your community in Australia, my community in America, and we're out here.
Let's roll.
Let's do it. All right.
Thanks for talking to me, man. There's going to be a lot more over time, and I'm sure we'll be back here again one day.
Of course.
I've really
Thank you so much.
Talking to you this morning, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We'll catch up soon.
All right, Dean. Thank you so much, man. Much love.